welcome to Straight from the Muzzle, folks, where we are anything but straight. My name is Space.
And I'm Bean.
And we welcome you guys to our show, which today is going to be about emails. I almost spaced on that, and I didn't want to stop and re-record, so I'm just going to go with it.
I could tell you were like,
Okay, so basically, like, this is season 3, episode 1, Fangasms, which is basically emails from our fans. I just can't call it a regular fan email. I just have to make it outlandish.
You gotta make it extra.
Exactly. That's what our viewers and that's what our fans love about it. It's just because it's so out there. So we have a couple of emails, 7 to be exact. A lot of them have, stories or, backgrounds. Some of them are just short and sweet. And we'll kind of go over those. We'll give shout out to those that we read over. But if you guys ever want to send us emails, you can. You can do that by just going to talktothemuzzle@gmail.com. Whatever you want. But before we do that, it's been probably a good, month?
Yeah, we had a month break.
We had a month break. We have to have breaks, folks. It's like school. You got to have a break between, like summer break or winter break. We have to rest.
I think we usually, we have like 2 breaks a year, I think. August and then like December area for holidays.
Those, I would call those like major breaks. Those are kind of like holiday breaks. And then there are those like show breaks. So like holiday breaks would be like this show, this particular season will start September 13th and we'll go all the way until November. Oh God, I'm going to pull this up now. I think November 22nd.
Yeah, so, it was like November 20 something.
The Friday before Thanksgiving. And then we'll break for the rest of the year. And then we'll come back in January. And then we'll go out a couple months. We try to keep up with the seasons. So we try to make it like a seasonal type of a thing, which makes it a little bit easier for planning
literal
shows.
Seasons.
Yeah, literal. So like we'll come back in winter into, I guess if we could call it winter to spring, because it's January's still like winter, spring, and we'll always do like a break in between. So, and that could be like a 2-week break or a 1-month break. Just depends on how big the season is. Because we're doing the fall season, it's a little bit longer, so the break is longer after that. Because family.
That's how you know you're gay. When you go, after family.
Well, the other thing, that's the thing though, because when you're married, then you have to like split it. Like I always thought it was fun and exciting, right? Like, oh, cool, my brother and his wife are coming to visit. Now it's like, I'm married, and now it's do I go to Felix's for Thanksgiving, and then do we go to mine for Christmas? And it's just a whole bunch of crap. Let me just say that. And trying to like schedule 2 in one day, so morning Thanksgiving and late Thanksgiving, that's just a whole nother crap show. It's totally not worth it. It's just like super stressed all the time. So this season's going to be a little bit longer. We do have a lot of fun shows planned out for it. We have some exciting things that we want to try out. Specifically one that you guys might be familiar with. If you're familiar with shows from the past from Fur Media, Skype Furries, we're going to try to implement something very similar to that, but podcast style. And you'll see updates on that coming soon, because we'll definitely need to have that one planned out in advance for sure.
Yes, definitely.
And a lot of things have changed. Shockingly, over the past month. In the break month, in the month break that we've had, I've had a couple of things change. Bean, you've had a couple of things change too. Well, you've had one major thing change, but I don't know if you want to talk about it on this episode or if you want to save it for the depression episode, because it can really go either way.
Yeah, we'll save it for the depression. So August was sad.
August was a rough month, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was.
If it was rough for both of us, I'm going to go ahead and say it was probably rough for a lot of people out there.
Maybe some bad juju going on.
God, I swear. I left my job at the previous employment, which was Dealer Track, and that was the dealership management software. Don't get me wrong, it was a great job. The management was amazing. everything about the job was great. The only problem was I just couldn't take the stress from the clients. And then the software itself was trying to troubleshoot things that went wrong with the system. To kind of like sum it up, the job that I had before that, I worked in a high-end grocery store for 6 years as a cheesemonger. It took 6 years for that job to break me down. It took Dealer Track 1 year. So, and I was just a mess. So I knew that I needed to go. And I know when I need to go when I have a very mutual feeling, which is null. So I'm neither happy or sad. I'm just don't have an opinion about it. And so when I have that kind of a feeling, I know it's right to move on. So
Time
I left.
To skedaddle.
I left, had one paycheck to carry me for about 6 weeks. So, and I have a new job starting on Monday the 9th. So this episode will be the week after I start. I'm really excited for that one because I get to work as a health analyst. I'll basically be working in medical records between doctors, patients, nurses in a hospital at Primary Children's here in Utah, which is just a dream environment for me because I've always wanted to work where, good change is made. Yeah, there are going to be moments where I'm sure I'm going to cry because it's going to be during the holidays and it's going to be kids. I mean, how could you just not? Like, they're kids. You see something sad and you're just like, ugh. And they even told me like that's going to be a hard thing, but you'll cope with it and you'll get over it eventually. And I'm like, oh, but that's okay. I've always wanted to do this. It's in a good environment. And the place is adorable. It has like these balloons. They look like real balloons, but they're not. And they're kind of hanging from the ceiling. And then they have a fan that like blows. So it looks like the string is moving.
Aww.
It's so cute.
Children's hospitals are always excited. So much more inviting. Like, when I first got diagnosed with diabetes and my blood sugars were practically killing me, I got like emergency admitted to a hospital that is not for kids and is also a very crappy hospital. Henry County Hospital. A lot of people go there to die. That's where you go to die. If you want to die, nice. Go there. And they like
I'll call them in the future.
But then, they basically held me in the waiting room for 10 hours, brought me back, gave me a shot, and then sent me home with a prescription. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm like 11.
How do you process that?
And so the next day, Mama was like, no, we're going to Emory Children's Healthcare. And I was like, cool. And we went there, and it was awesome.
I don't like going to regular hospitals. I just don't know what to do. I go in there and it's just for one. Well, I mean, it's funny that I say that because I'm going to be working in one now, but they're so confusing. You need your own GPS for the hospital itself just to navigate, which I'm hoping they give me like some sort of help with that.
I'm sure they will.
The one thing I did tell them, like they were like, you seem really excited for this particular position. What is that? And I'm like, well, they're kids, and kids in the hospital, that's never a great thing. You want to get them, treat them, and then get them back out so that way they're not stuck in this environment. But one simple thing can go a long way, and that's a smile, regardless of the situation, because a kid needs a smile, even if, they're in the hospital or they're going to be there for a while. Maybe they have a disability. Other people kind of give them weird looks. A smile. Everyone can recognize a smile regardless of who you are. And that makes all the difference. And that's what I told them. And so they seemed pretty pleased with that answer. So I'm excited. I have a job next Monday. Hooray.
That reminds me, this is kind of off topic, but real quick. Again, when I was in the hospital at Emory, the Better Children's Hospital, they were putting an IV in my arm in a temporary room. And like, as they're sticking this needle in my arm, the door creaks open and a fucking clown pokes his head in. And he was like, oh, does someone need a distraction? And I just was like,
my God.
Get out. Get out now. I'm more scared of you than the needle. And he was like, okay, and shut the door. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in hell.
Oh, wow. Clowns. I don't do clowns. Like, I'm not scared of them. I just don't like them. I just have an overall dislike for them. Hate would be a strong word. I don't hate. I just don't like you.
Like, I don't necessarily mind clowns. Like, do your thing. But I don't want you staring at me with your sweaty makeup dripping while a needle is going into my vein. Like, it's just not the time.
It's needles don't even hurt. I've had IVs actually put in my. Last week I had to get blood tests to see what immunizations I had, and heck, I don't have those records. They're in a clinic somewhere in California, and I'm not going to wait 15 days for a possible response back. So I just got the blood test done, and I'm watching it and just like filling up the vials, and she's like, wow, you're not put off by this at all. And I'm like, oh no, I love this kind of stuff. I mean, fill it up. That's so cool looking. But I'm like, my husband, on the other hand, he sees one drop of blood and he's out like a light. She's like, really?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. He just cannot do it.
My fiance is the same way. Gross. If she cuts her finger on like a can or anything, she refuses to open any cans. If it's metal, even with a pop top, she will not do it because if she cuts herself, she faints.
Oh my God. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool looking at. I remember like speaking of blood, and then we'll get on to the first email. God, the weirdest transition ever. Okay, so a couple years ago, I wake up to like Felix screaming. He's like, John. That's my real name, by the way, John. And I go into the bathroom, and the whole thing is a freaking bloody mess. It looks like a massacre had happened in there. And I find out that like somewhere up in his nose, something like split. And so blood was just uncontrollably just guzzling out. So I'm like, here's a towel, just shove it in your face. We're going to the hospital. So we go to the hospital. We go into the room. The guy, I think he like is just trying to get Felix's, he needs to get a blood test, but not the kind that's coming out of his nose. And I guess it kind of like drizzled down onto his arm or something. And I'm like, well, you're going to probably, he's like, we're going to just solder a couple of things up there and burn it off. So that way it'll heal over. And I'm like, well, I don't need to be in the room for this. I'm good. Because I don't like the smell of burning flesh. I think it's gross.
Yeah.
So I left the room with not even like 20 seconds after leaving the room. And I sit down. Nurse comes out and she's like, your husband passed out. And I'm like, are you for real? So I had to go back in there. The guy did not. So just like whatever.
Oh,
so there's that. Blood is good. And so are emails. Let's go on with that.
Blood is cool. So are transitions.
Yeah, there we go. So a couple of emails will come in. They've come in through a couple of different months. I think the first ones I actually started like in July or June, and then July, and then August. I do apologize for those. If I don't get back to you right away, I've been doing better. I kind of check the emails once a week to kind of see who's emailed in, and then I'll respond back. Generally, when it comes to an email, I like to read the whole thing, like anyone should, and then I respond back to it. It may be small, it may be big, but I like to respond back to your guys' emails as genuinely as possible, and I try not to do anything that looks even remotely robotic, just because that shows a disconnect between person to person. So I'd rather be as humane as possible. Or human. I know it sounds weird. We're furries. So this first email, so this actually has a couple of interactions between me and the emailer, which is CorenTheDoggo. They are in 8th grade, but they wanted to express their love towards the show and towards us. And so I'll go ahead and start with this one from CorenTheDoggo. Hi, my name's CorenTheDoggo. I listen to your show on Spotify with a question mark, so I'm not really sure what that is. Anyways, I wanted to shut up.
I don't know how to caps. You got to read it like.
Anyways, exclamation mark. I wanted to let you guys know how much your show is appreciated by this younger furry. I love your shows, and they always bring a smile to my face when I listen to them. I try to do art, and it's really hard here. Oh, I think that's just more or less on a statement. A lot of people actually do tell us that they do their art while listening to our shows. I find that kind of fascinating. I live in Mississippi, so I get massive hate at school for being a furry. Back then, I just drew anthro characters, and everyone was like, "Oh, look, it's a furry, haha! Let's go get her ass for her being gay and weird." I am, and in all caps, a lesbodian. Thank you for that.
Good. Same hat.
Sorry, had to. I'm proud though, just not loud. I plan on getting a suit when I go to college, and I'm hope to get fursuiting with my friends or go fursuiting. They are an example of true friendship, especially one who likes to call himself Apollo Plays. When I come out to them, when I came out to them as a furry, he automatically jumped into the fandom with me, and he is my best friend.
Aww.
But I feel really bad. I left him alone in the fandom in the peaks of my harassment because I was sick of it. He got upset with me, and now that summer is here, we don't talk. In a few days, when I go back to school, I'm going to go apologize. I love the pun. Love the pun. Sorry, I'm weird like this, and I love weird to him. And I hope we can be friends again. Anyways, I love you guys. If you could mention some of this in a new episode, I'd love that. I'm trying to make it here. And Rory Bean, if you could tutor me in art, I would die. I suck. That's what she says. I suck.
You do not.
Okay, but they actually did include some artwork, and I love it. I think it's
very
super cute.
I see they're working traditionally too. These are scanned in. It looks like watercolors, and like watercolors are especially challenging. And I especially love this group picture that they sent. Of course, this is a podcast, so people listening can't see it. But this is me talking to Coren now. This group picture, I really like how you set it up. It looks like a natural, high school friends selfie. It's very cute. You did a very good job.
A furry after my own heart. I love traditional artwork. In this like list, what do you call it? In this order, there we go. In this order, it's traditional, digital, and then physical. So physical meaning like 3-dimensional, or if you create sculptures like you said, they didn't hear that part because we weren't recording then, but you said you did 3D sculptures.
Yes,
that's cool. So like things like that, physical art. So I love that kind of stuff, but in that exact order is how I love art. So, and then I didn't respond quick enough. So then they're like, oh my God, is this the wrong email? God, I can't do this. And then I responded back, no, I won't read the whole thing. But I'll kind of just paraphrase. No, I think I might will. That's not a word, but I made it a phrase. I said, I very much love your email, and I never apologize for being weird. Embrace it. And that was all in caps.
Yes.
I love to comment on your Wattpad. I don't know what Wattpad was, but I found it, and I signed up, and I left a comment on their page because I wanted to, kind of leave them a surprise just in case I didn't get my reply quick enough. I admire your passion for the fandom and being who you are in this world. If I ever get to meet you in person, like at a convention, it would be amazeballs. I think a lot of our fans see us as inspirational people they look up to, and I am just jazzed to email you back and hope that one day I get to meet you. For any of you guys you don't know, a lot of people who do see us as either poppy furs or popular, I have the same, I actually see you guys as that. So that's like your same excitement for that is my same excitement for meeting you. So I don't travel around with a posse, and I don't have guards, and I never want people to think that they can't come up and say hi. I always want you to come up and say hi. That's the best thing, because that means that I got to you and then you got back to me in some way, but it worked. And then I like to give people, high fives and handshakes and hugs and thank them, because I think that's a good thing to have. So they responded back and said, this made my day. I laughed hysterically after I read this for at least 5 minutes. I love you guys so much, and thank you for responding. It has upped my confidence so much. And they go on a little bit more to kind of talk about it. But yeah, so it's as simple as this person just expressing who they are. They had a fight with their friend, but hopefully they're going to mend that soon with school. And that's great if they do. If they don't, that's okay. You'll meet other people. There's a lot of fish in the sea, and that's not just for dating and having sex. I mean that all well as friends as well. So there's a lot of furries in the fandom. We could just say that. There's a lot of furries in the fandom that you'll meet, and you'll make a lot of friends as well.
You definitely will. There are so many people to interact with in this fandom. You will find your group and your niche, and you'll fit right in.
All right. Now, this next email is from Kame. I'm sorry, I can't say anyone's name that sounds like Tammy or, or Tammy. I think that's from South Park. But every time I see something like that, I always read it as Kame. So, Kame, you're welcome. It's Kamikaze. That's another way they call themselves. This is a big email, so we're going to break it up a little bit because they do ask questions. And then Bean and I will kind of answer the questions as well, kind of give our opinions on it. Besides the fact that I've already replied back to them, I think it's also important that you guys hear this as well as far as our responses to questions. If you ask us something in an email, we will respond to it and we'll talk about it on an episode. Wow. Okay. First off, if you are reading this, I'm ecstatic. Why? Because I'm talking to Space and Bean. The Space and Bean, all in caps. Okay, let me calm down. And that would be her. I'm calming down.
Theatrical.
I think so. I have some theater in my blood. Hi, I'm Kamikaze, or better known as Cammy. I love listening to your podcast, whether or not I even know what the heck you guys are discussing. The more I listen to Bean discussing fursuiting FWA, the more I want to do it in Space. Lovely Space. There's a lot to go over about you, so I'll keep it simple. Fluffy ball of yes. That was it.
Cute.
You have been such an inspiration to me. I pray that if I do go to FWA, I'll see you too, but hopefully not Platypus Girl. Please know I do have questions for you guys, if that's okay. So... Platypus Girl is a reference to an episode we had in season 2. And the fact that someone referenced it in an email is just high fives for
Platypus
that.
Girl's becoming a legend.
Oh my God. Felix, I'll send you this photo later, but Felix sent me a picture of someone who looked just like Platypus Girl. And I'm like, I have to make her. So I tried to make her in Saints Row, but I couldn't pull it off. It just didn't work. But oh my God. She's going to haunt you forever.
Nightmare.
So these are the questions they had. And then at the end, they said, phew, finally got it all out. I'm assuming that's how they said it. Yes. I hope I didn't bore or waste your time. I know how busy you guys are, hopefully working on a new podcast season, on a new podcast. That'd be so much work. Thank you so much for your time. Love you too.
We love you too.
So their first question was, what website/maker do you recommend for purchasing a fursuit?
Oh man. Specific makers is hard for me to recommend because I don't know what you want. I don't know if you're looking for toony or for realistic. If I had more details on what you were looking for, then I could help. But websites that could be super duper helpful when looking for a fursuit maker are fursuit maker databases, which is basically like lists of fursuit makers. I think actually Picari made one where you put in categories like, I want toony, I want my budget between this, and you hit a button and then it gives you a list of makers that like go within all the options you chose.
It
and
probably
also
reads those and then it pulls up kind of like an RSS feed almost.
Yes, exactly.
That's
and also
awesome.
A really great website that more people need to utilize is I think it's Fursuit Maker Reviews or Fursuit Reviews. If you Google that, then it should pop up. They also have a Twitter page. But that is basically a website where people who buy fursuits go to review the maker, not only with the quality of the fursuit when they get it, but also discussing the professionalism of the maker as they were, commissioning the suit itself. So I highly recommend trying to find, reviews about a fursuit maker before you buy from them. And if you can't find reviews, then find past customers who've bought from that maker and DM them. Ask them, would you recommend me commissioning the maker that made your suit? And you might find out some stuff you wouldn't have known before, and you could get yourself out of a pickle.
Those are all good points. I also want to add on top of that as well. I did reply back and sent them a link, which I'll put in the description when this episode comes out. It's called The Triangle. This is something that Punya and I used back when we did For Media's podcast or live show. Basically, the triangle is made up of three things. You can use this triangle literally in any retail aspect possible. So it was made up of three sides. The sides were fast, good, and cheap. So you could get a good fursuit and you could get it fast, but it's not going to be cheap. And you kind of use these things. Oh my God, I just need to like clear my throat. Hold on 1 second.
I had to cough too, so I just utilized that situation.
You know what that was. Well, and I'm like, I want to get a drink, and the first thing I looked up is our closet door is open, and the first thing I see is a bottle of Windex, and I'm like, I'm not drinking that. It's not
wow.
Clears windows, not throats. So the great thing about the triangle is you can use it for fursuit makers. So you can go to a fursuit maker website and you can see that they have really good fursuits. You may be able to get it fast, but the price is not going to be cheap. You could get a fast fursuit and you can get it cheap, but the quality is probably not going to be good. And you could get a cheap fursuit and the quality could be good, but you're not going to get it fast. So there's that last bit is always the but of the the situation. Now,
yes,
one thing I also kind of pointed out is to Google search your variety of fursuit makers and take a look at everything. Take note of their prices, overall qualities, and reviews. If you can, and you don't mind, avoid cookie cutter makers, in which you'll notice that all of their suits have the same design essentially. Makers like that lack creativity and sacrifice quantity over quality, which is a huge letdown. And that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, and you get a cookie cutter maker if they're making something like a raccoon or a mouse or anything, and it still looks like a dog. That's how you know that they're just using the same bases and just slightly altering them, and that causes really heavy same face syndrome. Of course, if you still like a maker and they have good quality and good reviews, if you don't mind same face, go for it. But I know a lot of makers that do suffer from same face syndrome do seem to lack in quality as well.
Now, the second question they have is how many emails from fans do you usually get? So from that, we don't get a lot of emails from our fans, just mostly because they either don't know that we're there, B, they're probably lazy and they don't want to send it, or C, I don't know. I like to list in threes and I couldn't come up with a third. But that's probably why. So if you guys ever want to email us, like this particular episode is all about that, please do. And don't hesitate. My savior! My husband brought me water, thank God. So with the second one, we always recommend just send us an email. It doesn't really matter how many we get in. I'm just happy to get an email. Third question they had to ask, could Bean perhaps do a podcast episode about refining or making art?
Ooh, I would love to do that. That's a good idea.
And
now I'm not the best artist out there, but I'll do my best.
That could either be like an audio, or that could be like a visual show if you wanted it to be. Or we could do.
I know we did have an episode back in For Media, a visual show where I was teaching people how to draw
art,
like headshots.
And that was a good one.
That was a fun show.
Yes, that is an episode that we can definitely do. I think we have something like that. Well, no, we have adoptables. We'll go over that later.
We can add it to our list.
We can add it to our list. It could be part of our 2020 list, since we already have all of our episodes kind of locked in. Question 5. Why did I skip question 4? Shut up. And then question 6. What would you, if the opportunity rose, say to a young or a new furry?
We're actually going to do a whole episode about young furries.
Yes, we are.
So
for me, I said, the fandom is everything you dreamed about and wished for. It's a never-ending community fueled by all sorts of people from all walks of life, and you will meet someone who is just like you and become best friends with them. Nothing is perfect in this world, and there will be times of great joy and also deep sorrow. No matter what the situation or the feeling, the community will most likely have your back. Just make sure to respect other people as you would expect the same in return.
Something I would like to say in general for young furries is that as you grow as a person, artist, or whatever you are in this fandom, um, you might get overwhelmed with any like online, I guess, drama. Like people are calling it drama when it's really just
drama.
I don't know, smack. It's just mindless smacking of like, okay, don't get swept up in that. Um, the fandom is what you make of it. Uh, I'd like to say if you're smelling shit, check your own shoes. If you are feeling like the fandom is really dramatic, or if you want to stay away from that stereotype, then just make the fandom about the people you're around. Make sure you're surrounded by people you love and that love you and who support you, and you will be fine. Uh, if you're worried about the, furry drama stereotype, it doesn't really exist in the long run if you make the fandom about what you want it to be. So that's my advice. It wasn't worded very great, but we're gonna have a whole episode about young furries anyway. So
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
because we've done actually, you can consider most of our episodes are from the perspective of an older furry, but we've never done it from the perspective of a younger furry. So that'll be really nice and refreshing.
Yeah.
So thank you, Cami, for sending that in. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next email, which you get to take on now.
Yeah.
You decided that I'll take all the long ones.
Because you're a creative reader.
I am.
So the next email is from Zeke Planas? Planas? There's no...
Planas. Sorry.
All right, Zeke. They emailed us and basically was just like, hi, I'm new to the fandom and want to talk. And they asked, I really wanted to know how I can connect to other people in the fandom. I live in Hawaii, so the number of people is very limited. So we get a lot of questions like this. We get a lot of people asking how they can connect with others, or hey, I'm new to the fandom, how do I make friends? And it seems like it could be difficult, especially if you're not used to like putting yourself out there. But it's as easy as popping open, Google or whatever search engine you have and just searching your state and furry, like Georgia furries or Utah furries, anything like that. And different groups will pop up. And you can always start from there. Didn't you actually find a website for Hawaii Space?
I did. So I found not necessarily a website, but I found some links for them. Zeke, if you're listening, I have already sent you an email with a reply of 3 links that you can choose from. It is from a group called the 808 Furries, and that's 808. I don't know if that's a reference to like an area code, because that's what I would figure it would be.
Yeah, I think so.
It could be something else. Basically, is I tried searching for them furry groups on Facebook, but that did me absolutely no jack squat. So Google found this particular Facebook group. And so it is literally just facebook.com/groups/808 furs HI. And then you hit enter and you'll go straight to that group and you can join. They also have a Twitter one as well called the 808 Furry Events. And then they also have a Telegram group as well if you just want to join in, kind of chat and get to know them. These are going to be their best 3 links. If you have other ideas, just go straight to Google and take a look at them. See if it's maybe what you're looking for. I hope this helps, though, because I think this will be great, especially since where you're at, depending on what island you are on, you might be limited to the amount of furries that you have, the ability to be in touch with. But overall, this looks like a really good, well-planned group. And going on this actually kind of reminds me of the Southeast Asian furs. There's a whole group of like Singapore, Japan, South Korea, a whole bunch of them actually kind of like have their all individual groups. And then they actually all have like one major one that they all intertwine into each other with. So I kind of feel like this might be one of those types of situations where maybe each island does have its own mini group, but they all tie into this one major group. So check it out. See if you like it. Let me know if that worked for you. If not, let's see if we can find something else. I'm always more than happy to help you find something, even in my own free time. I love it. So I hope that works.
All right. Our next email is another short blurb. We got one from Lilly Fisher, and she said, "Good afternoon. I'm just going to say it. May I join your podcast?" I love people who go straight to the point. It's great.
Sure. Why not? Now, we weren't sure if that meant like, can I join your podcast, as in, can I join your staff, or if I could join the episode or recording itself. So we're probably just going to assume in this case that you want to join our episode for something in the future. Now, the email does specify that they can't use their voice, so they'll have to use Facebook. So this either leads me to the possibility that maybe A, they're deaf and so they actually can't speak, or B, maybe they just can't speak. It could be for, privacy reasons, or maybe they just don't want other people to hear them. It could be maybe it could be a closeted fur, who knows. But with situations like that, there are ways around it. There is something called TTY, so that's Tom year, so that way you guys so it doesn't sound like the other letters. Basically how the system works is, so that's something we can use, by the way, for features if we have to. If you can't communicate with someone via voice, you can use a TTY service. You type in your message, it is received by a person, and that person then speaks the message to the person that's hearing it. So it's kind of like this really cool system. It is a possible system that we could use if we needed to in regards to recording an episode. There's a lot of different ways to go about this, but that's just one that I kind of want to throw out there. I'm never going to shoot down the idea of a deaf person or someone with a disability to come onto our show. We will find a way to work around it. That's just how we are. So yeah, you can join our show, but we'll have to figure out a way around it. And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And if anybody else is interested in being a guest speaker on our show, you can always shoot us an email and we can talk about it. Usually if we have a guest speaker, we have a specific topic that pertains to that guest. Or if they're just like a featured furry that maybe we want to interview for some reason or anything like that. So if you do specifically want to be on the show, when you email us, try to include what you want to talk about or why you want to talk to us on the show. So that way, if it's a serious like offer, then we can go back and forth with you and figure something out.
Yeah, the other cool thing too is you guys may know that we don't necessarily have to have really well-known guests be on a show. That's one thing I have seen across the board with podcasts and shows or YouTube channels. Everyone tries to get the popular person. And the reason people do that is because if they're popular, you get a lot of views and more followers. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a type of marketing and it's a type of getting people to follow your stuff. But over time, once you've established yourself, which we're still establishing ourselves as a podcast, because we're still new, for Straight from the Muzzle, I don't technically like to use that particular technique, mostly because I'm more of a genuine person. So you don't have to be popular. You can be just a regular person, or maybe you're the closeted person or whatever. We'll work with it.
Definitely.
I think it's fun. It's something to kind of just put it out there. As someone says in an upcoming email, we're real ass furries. We talk about life and we don't care about what other people think. You're like, I don't really care about status. So I don't care if something brings me down, a couple of notches because I said something that goes against the grain of furry fandom. It's my life. I'll say whatever the F I want. So, so yeah, you could be anyone you want to be. Heck, you could be Superman, but unlikely because they're not real. Anyways, so thanks, Lilly, for sending in that email. Now, this next one comes from across the pond, and in this case, the UK. And if you don't know what that stands for, it's the United Kingdom. And then if you had to ask that question to yourself, you should be thinking about your life decisions and what you actually are learning in life.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. All right. So this next one comes from Noah, also known as Parsnip. Love the name. This one's actually a really nice one. It doesn't really necessarily hit Well, actually, it hit you. It gut punched you. It didn't gut punch me, though. So we'll go ahead and start with this one. Hello, Space and Bean. I'm a 22-year-old trans male furry from the United Kingdom. You can call me Parsnip. I love listening to your shows while I'm at work because it's so good to hear real ass furries talking about life and experiences in and out of the community. You give me loads of inspiration and strength to continue making my way through the furry community and just be my damn self. I've recently started making my first ever fursuit for my Dutch Angel Dragon persona, and I'm nervous as hell for it to go well. Sorry, some of these letters were kind of like put together a little closer, so I kind of struggled on that last bit. Let's see. I've wanted to make a fursuit for such a long time, and I'm finally and trying together. And I'm finally trying to do my best to get a partial and hopefully a full digitigrade. Is it digitigrade or is it digigrade?
It's digitigrade, but people have shortened it to digigrade for so long that people think that's what it's called. But just whatever.
Okay, I'll say digitigrade, it's fine. And hopefully a full digitigrade suit later, finished and ready to wear. Bean, question for you. Do you have any advice on a first-time maker? You're amazing at creating suits, so I know you're one of the best people to ask.
Oh, that's really sweet. I really appreciate that. Gosh, yeah, there's so much advice I could give to somebody who's wanting to make a fursuit for the first time. My primary piece of advice is take your time and do a lot of research. I know people get really excited when making a first fursuit, and a lot of the times the excitement leads to working really fast and working with materials that are easier and cheaper to get because that results in faster work. But I really recommend just taking your time, draw the character, draw your foam base shapes how you want, look at YouTube videos and look at them while you work. Just if you go slow and you have enough research to back up everything that you're doing with your hands, then your first suit can actually turn out pretty good. I've seen it happen, and it amazes me to see more and more people making suits and actually creating fair quality work for being a beginner. And just another piece of advice to add on there is don't go for cheaper materials just because they're cheap and easy to get, specifically with fabric, because it will make it harder to work with in the end. Like cheap fur, you can't really shave it. It balds really easily. Your fursuit won't last more than a couple of years, stuff like that. But there's so much else I could say, but just to keep it short, that's the first handful of it. The Elk Dragon has a YouTube channel and has a whole series based off of like first time or brand new makers advice kind of vlogs. And I would really recommend going to Elk Dragon's YouTube page and watching those.
One thing to kind of go on top of that with your answer on the fursuit making, a while back, a couple of years back, I actually took a fursuit tutorial via you, Bean, and I made fursuit feet paws. One thing I want to recommend is to not set an expectation so high that when you come to the end result, you become disappointed. I think people, like you said, they get excited and then they go for it, and then it doesn't turn out the way that they had thought in their mind. In your mind, that's okay. If it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to be, that's okay. We want to make sure that when you're going in for something like this brand new and you're not quite sure what you're doing, I wouldn't really even set an expectation. Really, just go with the flow and do your best. And as you get better, then you can actually start setting goals and expectations because you know you can meet those. But never set your expectation high for the very first thing you're about to start with. I don't recommend it because then you won't be in a happy place at the end.
Yeah, you just got to get your foot in the door. You'll make it there. And if you take your time with it, you probably will be happy with what you make. But make sure your expectations and your goals are in reach. Definitely. That goes with anything, whether it's,
Absolutely.
teaching students how to read or with making a dragon costume.
No, they didn't have a question for me, but they did have a statement. The further of the email, it said, also, Space, you're freaking awesome. And I love your voice. I'm sorry if that sounds creepy. I swear I'm not weird, just a furry. I thank you for that, because sometimes I hate my voice.
Your voice
so
is
it's nice to hear that.
lovely.
That's what everyone tells me. So I don't know. I hear it differently, and I kind of feel like I wish it was in my way. I hear it. It sounds normal. When I hear my voice played back, it sounds a little feminine, a little gayer, and I kind of wish it wasn't, but it is who I am. It's something I have to deal with in time. The person further goes and says, thanks for everything you do, or you both. Thanks for everything you both. What?
Thanks for everything you both do in the community.
I'm going to rephrase that. Thank you. And for making a kick-ass podcast. It's it's awesome, and I want you guys to know that it's made its way across the sea to the UK in my little old furry heart. Keep being yourselves, and I can't wait to hear more of your antics you both get into. Loads of hugs from Noah.
Something I wanted to mention about this email specifically that made me really happy is the comment where you said it's good to hear real ass furries talking about life and experiences in and out of the community. That's something I've always kind of wanted to keep in mind when we record these, because the fandom may be escapism for a lot of people, but you still have to deal with real life, and real life will seep its way into your hobbies. I know that's something I'm struggling with, and that a lot of people, I'm sure, struggle with. So we don't want to make this, super fantasy land fake. We really want to keep it down to earth and at home for you all. So I really appreciated that comment. That's something I've always tried to set as a goal whenever I'm recording.
It's always been something that's always been a goal for me from day one. That's why we always did live shows for media, because when it's live, it's real. You can't edit that shit out. It's live. You mess up, and you keep going. So we can edit things here and there. For the most part, I just want to say I probably do maybe 2 to 3% of editing of each episode. The rest of it is just as is. Sometimes I don't even edit it because I want that realness in the actual show itself, so you can actually get it. Is it professional? That's up to you to decide.
Realness is hearing Space hack up a lung, right? Trying to get some water.
I have to go get some more too after this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've turned the air conditioning off, because it gets really cold in here. So I've turned it off. So now it's hot in here, but I like it when it's hot. So maybe it's just drying my throat out. It makes me happy that we've made it across to the United Kingdom. I know that we've made it across around the world a few times, but it's always nice to hear where you guys are coming from. So if you do email in, tell us where you're from. It's kind of nice to hear. Kind of lets me know how far we're basically going. So that's fun. So yeah, thank you, Noah. Happily or greatly appreciate your email. Has made me, oh my God, I cannot speak tonight. It has made me smile. Seriously,
we are struggling.
The struggle is real. All right, the last email that I will be reading.
No? Well, that you will be reading, yes.
Yeah, the last email that I will be reading is from Tobias Polson, also known as Justin. Someone wasn't quite sure if Tobias was the furry name or if that was the real name, and Justin's the furry name, and vice versa. Now, this one does have a lengthy bit going towards it. I won't read my response specifically, so I'll just kind of read the first bit of their email. But there's a lot of going into it, kind of give you foreshadowing. It had to do with the Fursonas episode that we had done. I think that was in season 1, I want to say.
I think so.
So they wanted to express their appreciation from that, and that's what this particular email is going to be about. So they said, hey there, I just wanted to say that your episode on Fursona was awesome and enlightening. I've been in this fandom for almost 15 years in a capacity that is lighter than some. No fursuits, Not many furry friends, sadly, and I don't know how much, or I don't know much about the community. You know, I'm just gonna zoom in on this because I'm like reading it. It's super, super small.
Do you want me to read it?
So much better. No, I've got this. I got this. I was reading like seriously, it was like ant size. I've gotten bigger. So here we go. All right. No fursuits, not many furry friends, sadly, and I don't know much about the community is talking about at any given time. So
I don't blame you for that.
That is like my like honest opinion and feeling when it comes to like meeting. Like I go to game nights and they're furry game nights and everyone's talking about all these different things. And I remember seeing like they were talking about this artist named Chew. I have no idea who they are. I seriously don't care. But like they were talking all about it and they looked at me and I'm like, don't look at me. I don't know what you're talking about. Just move on.
Who you talking about?
Yeah, hey. That was good. Let's see. However, I have attended a con or two and love to commission stuff. I never tune into podcasts, let alone any furry ones. But one evening, while I was on my long commute from work home, I searched for a podcast about fursonas and the opinions people have about them, and I happened upon that very episode. That does happen. Sometimes people just kind of like search and they find us, and then they just get hooked. I was so impressed about how deeply you went into what fursonas meant to different people and what they can represent. Now, this may not be for everyone, but I have always found that the most whimsical way to approach the fandom in avatar form is to work with the species that well represents you in real life. So that's how my fursona is based off of, but you guys can listen to that in that episode. The style of which you convey yourself is your own, but it's an exercise in actually realistically evaluating what animal your spirit, personality, and on occasion physical attributes represent. Almost like making a proud animal version of you in real life and acknowledging your real life self in that personification. So basically in there, they're basically saying that if you need like a sum up on that, is that they're saying that they designed their furry based off of their real life person. So their furry and the person are one and the same, and they kind of go with that. So and that's how I've done it with my fursonas. They've always been either parts of me or me myself. So I really appreciate where this person's coming from, because it means that there's more than just I'm obviously not the only one out there, but it means that there's other people out there that do the same thing. Recently, I decided that I wanted to change my fursona after so many years. Bean, are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I wasn't sure, you were so quiet.
It's a long email. I'm just listening to it.
Okay. I know it is a long email. Recently I decided I wanted to change my fursona after many years of this fancy lion I had. He was a bit of a flourish compared to what I currently am in real life. I felt I was a bit more flamboyant and more leading as a teenager, which was when he was created. Please note that I am not completely egocentric. I was also lazy, high maintenance, and vain as a lion too. I totally felt inspired by the element of using a persona to express the real life me that I am now, a topic discussed by your episode that reaffirmed the way that I love to approach using this creative and expressive process. So I'm now making myself a rabbit. Though some design details may come off as a tad edgy in a few ways, it is who I am, and I love that. Thank you guys so much for having such a friendly and bubbly podcast series. I'm now tuning in more to see what other nifty categories you guys can shed light on. You bears have voices that are a microphone. Hold on. You bears have voices that are microphone honey, and it's sweetness for the ears. Damn!
Oh, as an English teacher, I really appreciate that last line. That's really good.
That's
A+.
Smooth.
A+ like on your report card.
Damn. Wow. The way that this person actually, so I type up emails like I'm actually talking. That's the way I type emails. This person types it. I don't know. Maybe they know their wordage really well, or maybe they're like a teacher of sorts. I don't know. The way the whole thing is just like worded is perfect. I really liked it.
It's a very well-worded email, which is something I appreciate. I have a bad habit of responding to emails in a professional way, even if it's a casual environment, just because with, me being a teacher and also running a fursuit business, I have to keep everything professional. So like sometimes I'll reply to fan emails and in our talk to the muzzle email, and then I end up making it sound like too professional, and I'm like, oh god, I'll let space handle it. I sound like a stick in the mud.
So I did respond back. I sent like 3 paragraphs, kind of responding each paragraph to, what they had talked about. So that was kind of like almost a burp. It tasted like salsa and beans, but nothing.
Nafty.
Girl, I had Mexican for lunch. Yeah. It's my go-to. So I really liked the email, and I kind of expressed to them, that I've been in the fandom for a while now. I guess you could say I'm new compared to other people that have been here for quite a long time. But I also let them know, hey, like I don't have a lot of friends either. You may think that's weird because, yeah, I'm a podcaster and I've ran this, and for me it was really popular. It was a really successful show, but that doesn't mean I know everyone. It just means that it was really good and it succeeded.
If you ever feel bad about not having a lot of like furry friends in real life, it may be reassuring to you to know that most of the fandom interacts online exclusively.
Yeah.
Conventions and meetups, it is such a small percentage of people that go to those. And even when you watch like vlogs or videos on YouTube or wherever of furry conventions, it's like you almost see the same people at all the conventions. It's a very small percentage of people. It's a certain, you have to have a certain love for in-person events to go to so many. But most of the fandom does interact online or just keeps it personal, like getting artwork for themselves or anything like that. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if you keep to yourself and just stay online. That's okay. A lot of people prefer that, and that's chill. I totally get it.
I have a small group of friends that are furries, but they're also some of them are also my real life friends too. So overall, I have a small group of friends. I love it and I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thanks for sending that email. And, they responded back and it was really nice. So I did invite them to join our Telegram, chat if they ever wanted to, if they ever just wanted to meet new people. You guys can always just pop into that chat, see what you like. If you don't like it, you can leave. There's only about 64 members now. It's dropped a little bit, but that's actually kind of nice. I don't like big groups because that means the smaller groups can get to know each other a little bit more. There's always a steady flow of traffic, of chatting. Right now, it's a bunch of artwork. It's been like that for the past couple of weeks, but it changes quite periodically, and there's a lot of really good people in there. A lot of people that I would definitely want to meet. So thank you once again for sending in that email. I greatly appreciate it. And we are on to our last one, which is you.
All right. Our last email. Yes, I emailed us and I'm reading my own email.
Desperate.
Our last email is from Wonderland Dutchie. And it says, "Hey, Space and Bean, I just wanted to say hi. I really love you guys' podcast. I always listen to them while I'm doing my art requests. I was wondering if you guys are going to any conventions that I could see you guys at. Anyway, thank you so much. Wonderland, the Dutch Angel Dragon." So, first of all, I love hearing that people listen to us while they're doing like art or crafting. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because that's what I do when I listen to podcasts. I could just relate to that. But I, every year, pretty much go to Furry Week in Atlanta. I don't know if you're a Southern local that could, easily go to that, but that's the furry convention I go to every year. It's the only furry convention I've ever gone to, simply because traveling isn't easy for me right now, and I'm an hour away from Atlanta. So, that's the con I go to. And I know I really want Space to come, and I'm trying to drag his ass down here.
It's hard.
But someone, I know it's hard and expensive, but yeah, that's the con I go to.
We just bought a condo. So, and then, our expenses get a little bit more expensive. So it's just, these past couple of years have been financially not struggling, just financially tight. So we haven't really gone to any conventions. We have gone on vacations, but they're like mini vacations. Like yesterday was like a day trip to northern Utah. We went to the dinosaur park, and that was fun for us. But I got to go chat with my husband tonight about the possibility of going to FWA because that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, we might do FWA. And if we do, plan to make it official that Space and I are both going as a unit, then we'll let y'all know in advance because we would also probably want to do a panel at Furry Week in Atlanta if we get the opportunity to do that together. So, but for now, it's just an idea that's thrown up in the air. Nothing is official yet.
So long, but I want to do one again. They're so much fun.
They look like fun.
I once packed the room past capacity, but that was Convention Horror Stories. You can hear more about that in Convention Horror Stories, regardless of what season you listen to. Because I always talk about it. All right.
Yeah.
So those were the emails that were sent in to us. If we get more emails like this over the next, few months, we'll probably do another version of this type of show for season 4 that will start up in January, and then we'll go from there. I may also create little shout outs here and there, but I'll always respond to you via email, just letting you guys know. But if you like this, if you really like this, share it, like, comment, subscribe. I don't really know what else people say. Click the bell button, whatever that means. I think that's for YouTube.
Click the imaginary bell.
It's for like YouTube. Whatever.
Oh, wait, shit. We do upload to YouTube.
We do. We upload to YouTube every once in a while, but not all the time. So.
No, all of our episodes are uploaded on there. It's just most people don't use YouTube for podcasts. We're primarily on like Spotify and stuff.
So yeah, if you're traditional like I am, you'll listen to it on YouTube. And then if you're a new person, then you'll listen to it on wherever you listen to your podcasts. Hooray.
You gotta smash that like bell.
There you go. Smash that like bell. I don't want to be one of those YouTubers. God damn. I can't do it. Smash. There we go.
But so that ends our episode for our email fangasms, as Space called it earlier. And this is the fangasms. And this is the first episode of season 3. And season 3 is going to be an extra long one, which I bet y'all are excited for. And I am too. We have a lot of fun topics that we're going to discuss.
More the merrier.
And the more the merrier. Yes, definitely. If you want us to do a show like this again, then you're going to have to send us some emails. So send us some emails at talktothemuzzle@gmail.com. And maybe at the beginning of 2020, we can talk to you guys some more and read some more emails because I really enjoy this one. It's really nice getting to talk with people directly like this.
It is definitely fun.
But that ends our show for today. And we will be talking to you guys again next time.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.